3 rounds on 6 days. He is murdering people. Let's get that out the way. He is hurting people. AQ, it was in the same position I am now, you know. So, and he's a dog, that guy. You know, you hit some guy 23 times in 10 seconds and he doesn't fall. I don't know what to tell you, you know. I had growing pains at the beginning of my career. I was 3-3 to start, so I didn't have a very illustrious start to my career. And it just took me learning how to win, you know, as a professional. And I think that's kind of the same thing that's happening now, is that I had a little bit of a rough go. Is, you know, my last fight with AQ was more about like pacing. I was more paced for a 5-round fight instead of a 3-round fight. So we adjusted that, and I think it was just growing pains. That's really what it is. And once I start rattling off this win, it'll just keep going from there. So, you know, you get caught up in the moment, you get caught up in everything, and, you know, you work for 14 years to get to the place, then you get there, and you're like, well, I don't know what to aim for now, you know, and that was kind of where I was at. So we've adjusted, and I'm more than confident about Saturday night.
That's awesome, man. Like, it's a mature mindset. I mean, has it been difficult to keep that or to arrive to that? Like, were there moments of frustration or like, what the hell? Like you said, I worked all the time to get here, and this ain't going the way I thought it was going to go.
You know, I mean, if life has taught me anything, it is exactly that, is that things don't go your way, and they might not come the way you want them to. I think that, and the way that I've taken, of course, this frustration, you know, you work, 3-4 sessions a day, you know, you cut 30 pounds, you know, you do all this stuff, you do all the mental work, and then it just doesn't work out. You know, I think that all of my misfortune has brought me to this moment, if I'm honest. I think that if I had beaten AQ, I wouldn't be fighting Raul in the big spot with all the attention. I'd be fighting on the early prelims if I was even on this card at all, you know. So things happen, you know what I mean? And you're going to get kicked in the mouth a lot, and it's how you get up, right? That cliche thing. And I don't say die, I don't quit. So, you know, it is what it is. I'm 0-2, and I understand my position. But again, that 0-2 makes me very, very dangerous. And a lot of you are really, really, really underestimating how good I am. So, you know, I take it with stride.
I like it, man. So, considering the years and the effort that you put in and all that you did, the journey to get here, then they say, hey, can you fight this teenager that just can't, I mean, I don't know, was there any part of you that was kind of like, F that, you know what I mean? Like, why are you doing this to me?
Nope, not at all. The way that I saw it was that everybody's got a hype train on him. And like I said, I have respect for the skill that Raul has. I saw it as an opportunity. It is an opportunity for me because 18 or not, people are watching, you know, and hate me, love me, you're going to watch. And that's really it. You know, there's a lot of hype behind the kid. And maybe when I beat him, it won't all be stolen, but I'll take a little bit of it, you know, and that'll be a good launching point for me. It's a big pay-per-view. It's the last one of the year. People are going to be watching. All eyes on me, in the words of Tupac. So, you know, that's how I felt about it the whole time, was this is your opportunity to show people how good you are against an opponent that I really do match up quite well with. You know, all the people in the betting lines can shove it, is what they can do. Yeah, that's really it. It wasn't ever like a, why are you doing this to me? I kind of figured I know why they picked me. It's a mistake. I know I wasn't the first choice, and I shouldn't have been the third, fourth, or fifth choice. But, you know, egos prevailed. So I think it's an opportunity for me to show the world what I am, who I am, and how complete I am. So thank you.
Last thing for me, obviously you're a big opportunity for you. I guess the question, you know, you're going to show how good you are. How good do you think Raul is? I think there's still a question around. I mean, do you see him as a legitimate UFC caliber, you know, right now kind of thing? Or do you see more hype than substance right now?
So I believe that he is a very talented young man. Like I don't have anything against him personally. His skill is, I think people are enamored with how old he is and not the actual skill level now. We're at the UFC. This is the top of the world, correct? So now we have to start talking to him like we would anybody else that's not 18, 17, whatever the hell age he is. All right? If I fought and was as sloppy as the last fight was, you can say whatever you'd like. But there was definitely some unpolished stuff that happened in there. I'm not going to pull guard 7 times. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do all of these things that his opponent gave him in that fight. I think that, again, you're enamored with how old he is and all the hype around him and not the actual skill set, and that's what I'm looking at. And his grappling is amazing. You know, if we were at ADCC, I'd be in trouble. But guess what? We're not, you know, and I just don't, you know what I mean, like as a complete fighter, I don't see him on the same level as I am. And, you know, again, people say what they'd like. That's fine. But if we look at our strength of schedule in our last two, mine and his, they're very different calibers of people that we've fought, and the gap between them is much shorter. So I do believe in 2 or 3 years, maybe even less than that, he'll be what everybody proclaims him to be. But he's still an 18-year-old kid that is unpolished and hasn't been tested even one time, even once has he fought any kind of adversity. And on Saturday, you are about to see what that looks like for him. And I know that when I first fought and got in the pros and got adversity, it was a panic that set into me because everything didn't go my way. So to answer your question, I do think that he's very good, and he will be very good. Not right now. Not on December 10th. He's not going to be good enough. So.
Jay, in the front, right here. What you're saying, it reminds me of something that Paul Craig once said when he fought Jamal Hill. Jamal Hill was undefeated in the UFC, and he said being a young, undefeated fighter in the UFC is dangerous because you haven't faced adversity and stuff. Are you in agreement with that when you enter the UFC being undefeated like that? I
don't think you should be in the UFC by the time you face adversity. I feel like that should be something that is proven and tried prior to that. So I think it is dangerous because it feeds your ego and to believe that you are a world killer, and that's fine. You know, as you should. You should have confidence in yourself. But what happens when it doesn't go your way? You know, and again, in 9 fights, he hasn't faced any adversity at all. When he does, I really do believe that that's gonna take an effect on him. So I mean, it depends on who you are and what you're coaching and all that other stuff, you know, factors into. But I really do think that it's risky. I think that formula of just beating cans and then getting here, and then finally fighting a tough guy, even a guy that doesn't have a 16-1 record, that's dangerous because that guy that's got that 10-6 record has fought really tough people, much tougher than the people you have, and has faced that adversity over and over and over, and has at least overcome it more times than he hasn't. So, yeah, to answer that, I think it's dangerous, and it can be a detriment to you in your own way.
So he said he wants to be UFC champion by the time he's 20. Is that just getting ahead of himself?
When does that happen?
Never.
We didn't have anybody under 24 in the top 10. No. Okay. And we're at 135. I don't know if everybody remembers, but this is the hardest weight class in the world. So, word. You know what I mean? Like, great for you, dude. Everybody wants to be that, and I want to be Santa Claus. You know what I mean? Like, get out of my face. I'm gonna get a world title shot in 2 fights. Bro, I don't know who's talking to you like that and telling you that that's the case, but you need to get new friends. Because anybody that heard that and was like, yeah, this is for sure it, you should say that, is wrong and a little dumb, honestly. So, I mean, it's a nice goal to have. It's nice to say, you know, but before he's 20, you know what I mean? Stop. You know, what is that, a year from now? If he gets in the top 10 in a year, I'm writing a strongly worded email to somebody. That's all I know. They're getting a letter of some kind. Thank you, guys.
Trying to be respectful.
Says nothing back.
Well, Jared, I mean, this was always a big fight from the moment it got announced, right? But now co-main event, a pay-per-view, I mean, big time. I don't know, does this have a special feel about it?
Yes, it does, definitely. Super excited. Eyes are on us, and I think, I think we are the true main event right now. Not to take anything away from the main event, but those guys are really stoic, and I'm not the most charismatic person at times, but Paddy sure is, and I think it's going to be a great fight. Super excited, can't wait to get in there.
What do you make of that? I mean, obviously he's a charismatic dude, right? He brings a lot of attention. You kind of blue collar grinding in the shadows or whatever. So, I mean, what do you think facing a guy like this, boisterous like this?
I think it's great, man. I think he's great for the sport. I like him. I liked him from the start, even before UFC when he was in Cage Warriors. And, to get a chance to get in there with someone like him, I put myself right in this position to be in this moment. Everything that I did, I walked left, I walked right, I lost, I won, and it led me right here. So it's just an opportunity that I have to seize, just like anything else in life, and that's what I'm going to do.
Have you felt like a responsibility, I guess, to maybe come out of your shell a little bit or whatever, or to kind of be a little more out there in this role, in this fight?
Not necessarily. People don't really know me that well, I don't think. If you, hung out with me for a couple hours, you'd be like, this is not who, we think he is. But, I have a responsibility to, set a good example, I think. So, but, I could be fun too.
Personality aside, what do you make of Paddy as a martial artist? I mean, there seems to be some debate at just how good he really is. Knowing that you've been watching him since his Cage Warriors days, what do you make of him as a martial artist?
I think he's dangerous. I think he's unpredictable, and I think that he's got a lot of tricks up his sleeves, and he's a good grappler, and that was his base. But he goes for it standing. He kicks. Flying knees. Big punches. And this is MMA. This isn't boxing. This isn't, kickboxing. There's so many variables that, I'll spar with amateurs, and I'm like, why am I getting my ass kicked right now? So I'm looking at it like this is the best fighter that I've ever fought, and I'm not looking past him whatsoever.
Do you think his grappling stacks up with the guys you've just faced? I mean, you faced a couple high-level grapplers in a row. I
mean, listen, he's tricky. He does more dynamic movements, like flying arm bars, flying triangles. He takes the back really well also. Do I think he's necessarily as solid as a grappler as, say, Grant Dawson or Joe Selecki? I don't know. I guess I'll find out Saturday night. But I'm ready for it. And, people, I'm not subbing guys constantly, so people are like, oh, he's just a positional guy. But, I think that my grappling is up there with all those guys. So, fight's a fight, and I just got to be the man that shows up that night.
Last thing for me, a big win for you here. I'm just curious where you think this puts you, right? Because it's not really about a ranking or a position, but it's obviously a huge opportunity and a lot of eyeballs. So where do you see yourself going with the victory here?
I think it gets me a shot at the top 15 at least, But you know how the sport is, man. 3 fights and you're champion. Look at Jiri, right? He had 3 fights, right, or 4 fights, and he was so who's to say? Who's really making those rankings anyways? So I'm not really worried about that, but obviously I want to climb the ladder, and that's what I'm going to do.
Jared, to your right. If I hung out with you for a day, what would I find out?
Oh, God. Do you really want me to tell you?
No.
Man, I don't want to go there. But, I had a whole other life, before I was trying to be an example for people. So I lived in a way that was, not necessarily the most holy or godly way. But, yeah, man, I come from New York. My mother's Catholic Sicilian. My father's an English Jew. My grandparents were born and raised in London, just for all the Brits out there. I'm half Brit, so the household, the way we spoke. I've been cursing since I'm like 3 years old. So you could use your imagination, and it's fun. We have fun.
I wonder what, he got a lot of attention for that speech he made after the last fight, and I thought of you when he was talking about that because you've done a lot of stuff like that. And have you ever wondered why maybe you haven't taken off the way he did after that? He had that thing and kind of just blew up and gets a co-main event, and, you're kind of still, fighting that battle, right?
I wonder a lot of things, but this is, well, I know why. Because I'm from America, and he's from Liverpool, and he has a whole city behind him, right? And the Americans like to tear down their athletes, and there's so many of us in the UFC, so who are they going to get behind? You know what I mean? You see guys come from different countries. Look at Conor, the guy had a country behind him. Khabib, he's got Russia behind him. Oh, you're from New York? Go F yourself, And that's like the saying, and, you walk on the street in New York, and it's like, hey, fuck you. You're like, yeah, fuck you too. It's just like how we are. So, but as Americans in general, it's like, let's tear our athletes down instead of support them. Oh, I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, I was just saying, New York is bigger than Liverpool.
Yeah, but that's a problem in itself. Who's Jared Gordon? How many people are from New York? So,
I assume the fact that, he has had so much hype behind him made it more attractive to you when the fight was, announced, because now you have a guy that a lot of people are going to tune in to see, and that puts you in the spotlight that way. Do you look at it like that, and that maybe you beat him, you take some of his shine?
Yeah, I got to go in there and do what I got to do. Like, perfect example, right? Masvidal versus Darren Till, Look what happened to Masvidal. It seemed like, they were going towards, all right, this is Till's night. And then Masvidal did what he did. And then it was like, all right, let's make him into a superstar now. So, yeah, that's what I have to do. And that's what's going to happen.
So, you referenced, you don't want to go there when you talked about your personal life and everything. But if you become that superstar, right, that's going to put that kind of pressure on you, the spotlight, and you're going to have the cameras following you around, and you get a lot more. Are you mentally prepared to deal with all that stuff, that if you get to the absolute top level and you're another Conor or, somebody nobody's another Conor, but in that kind of ilk, do you think that would be a hard thing for you to deal with?
No, I don't think so. I'll always stay true to myself. And, as long as I walk with my God, then that's all that I have to do, And I'm not doing this for that. Yes, I make a living doing this, and it's always nice to make more money and obtain material things. But, I already sold myself to the devil, and I got it back. And I'll never go back to that life ever again.
Jared, right here. Kevin mentioned Paddy's post-fight speech about mental health, and I know that's something that's been important to you. You even in October, I believe you did an interview where you were saying you would like to maybe do something with Paddy after the fight. He just announced that he launched a charity. I don't know if you saw that, but do you feel like maybe you guys have more in common in that department than meets the eye, and would you like to maybe help him out with that going forward?
Yeah, of course. I had said that for that reason. Like, maybe we could do something together. Nothing came of it, but that doesn't mean something can't happen in the future. And, I think that even post or pre-UFC, I remember hearing him on the MMA Hour or whatever he calls his show now, that he was, dealt with mental health issues and stuff like that. And I was like, and that's when I started kind of liking him. But yeah, I think that with the support, that we both have and the people that are around us, that we could do something, and why not, right? And we can entertain people in the process.
And do you think you guys both proved maybe, I feel like there was this thought at one point in time that negativity was the thing that could promote fights and get people talking about your post-fight interview. But do you feel like maybe you guys are just proving that with the messages you're sending?
Yeah, listen, I see guys all the time, saying certain things to each other, using certain words, you know, being like tough guys. And it was like, if you were really a criminal, then you wouldn't be here. You would be out there extorting people and selling drugs and killing people. And you know, I hear people call each other certain words, and it's like, where I've been and from where I'm from, those words, you know, those aren't fist fighting words. Those are, I'm going to stab you in your back when you're not watching words, you know. But you could tell certain people haven't been to jail. Even, you know, some of our superstars, they've never been to jail. They've never shared a cell with someone else that they don't know who comes from, you know, a terrible place. So yeah, that whole, you know, the crap talk, I get it. You know, someone says something wrong to me, I'm not just going to roll over, you know. But yeah, I think, you know, this is, I know I sound like a broken record, but I'm going to try to preach, you know, mental health and addiction stuff. And, you know, that's where I'm at in life now. So no problem.
Jared, were you surprised about the backlash that you got when you said that MMA doesn't fulfill you?
Oh yeah, dude. Went right over so many heads, you know, and it was like, you guys really are stupid. Yeah, I mean, I'll win a fight every time I fight. Oh, this is my biggest fight, and then I win, and 3 days later I'm like, well, now what do I do? You know, and I'm like miserable again. You know, now I'm starting to act out because like I don't know where to put my energy. You know, and that's what used to lead me to like shooting heroin, you know, or like doing something insane. So, like, you know, the only thing that gives me that, you know, for the millionth time that I said this is God, my wife, spend time with people, help people. That's what gives me lasting fulfillment. No matter what I do, MMA will never make me whole. And I'm going to retire. And what am I going to do when I'm 50 years old? People ask me, oh, what do you do? Oh, I'm an MMA fighter? No, you're not. No, you're not. What are you talking about? So, you know, you just can't put your value into something that's like not going to last forever, you know? So.
You're in the back, Jared. As the spot continues to grow for you, we know you're able to put an emphasis on your outside of the octagon purposes. Do you feel like with a fight of this magnitude, you've been able to put even more of a spotlight towards the addiction, towards the mental health, and you've had those opportunities?
Oh, yeah, definitely. My DMs are filled. I can't even... I need people to actually help me go through them. I can't do it myself. And yeah, if... LeBron James was talking about mental health, he would get a lot of listeners, right? If Conor McGregor was talking about mental health instead of flexing them, that's what I want to do. A lot of things are changing with insurance companies, and you know, self-pay for treatment centers is really expensive. But yeah, that's like something I definitely want to do, and I'm sure other things as well. As far as, you know, I help people for free all the time, and that's like what I've been doing for years. So like, I'm not trying to like, I have to toe the line of, am I doing this for personal gain and money, or am I doing this because I really want to help people? But I speak to certain people and they give me the answers that I need when it comes to stuff like that, and I'll figure it out.
Thank you.
No problem.
I guess back to 145. I mean, did it require any changes or any adjustments, or did you just know that was the move you were going to make?
So in reality, I moved up to the lightweight division before because no one wanted to fight me in 145. So I had to move to stay active, and now I'm coming back for the division.
It worked out pretty well, though, at 155. Was there any part of you that was like, hey, maybe I am a lightweight. Maybe this is the division for me?
Yeah, when I'm going to finish all the business I have in 145, I want to move up to 155 because I know I can put everyone to sleep. I can finish anyone.
Well, this matchup, I think for the hardcore fans, it's probably one they're looking forward to most. I mean, when you got this matchup, did you get excited? Is it the type of fight that actually gets you, motivated?
Yeah, of course. It gets me motivated when they call me and tell me that I'm going to face someone undefeated. So it's a good motivation for me. And I know that someone's going to lose, he's undefeated, and it's not going to be me.
When you saw the card come together, was there any part of you that was like, do you really have to put me on a Paddy Pimblett card? Like, can I not be...
Oh, I don't really care about that, fuck him.
Do you worry about crossing paths? Am I going to have
no.
to deal with it? Is it just a distraction,
So when someone cross out the way, I went the last 2 days ago to the PI. They take him from the back door. He's not coming to the hotel, so why? Because he's scared, so fuck him. Fair. I'm not bully, So if someone is trying to avoid me, what can I do?
Nice. Well, right now you got to focus on Bryce, of course. 2 undefeated guys. I mean, how good do you think Bryce is? I mean, is he as good as that undefeated record suggests?
Yeah, he's undefeated for a reason. I'm undefeated for a reason too. So he's got grappling skills. It's really good, but mine's is even better.
Do you think it becomes a grappling match, which I think a lot of people want to see, or do you think the grappling cancels out and you guys end up standing and trading?
Of course not, because he's don't going to be able to take me down, and I'm gonna strike with him because I'm way better than him in the striking. So I'm gonna put his lights out on Saturday night.
Nice. Last thing for me, you do that, it'll be a big statement. What do you think comes next? I mean, how fast can you rise up to the very top of this division?
I think after this fight, I'm gonna face someone from top 5. Probably, from top 5, and I want to fight for the title as soon as possible. Yeah, and then move up to 155 maybe. We'll see what's going to happen.
Ilia, in front right here. Obviously, you and Bryce are both undefeated, but what do you think his past opponents are doing wrong that maybe you can capitalize on?
So his last opponent was Edson Barbosa, right? So he's a striker. Always we see him fight against a grappler. He always suffers, With Khabib, he suffers. So it didn't surprise me, when I see his fight against Bryce Mitchell. So I grow up in the ground, My background is BJJ and wrestling, so he didn't gonna surprise me with anything he gonna bring on Saturday night. So I know what's gonna happen. I know that I'm gonna put him to sleep, and I think he already knows it too.
So what did you think of when he posted that video in response to you that he was eating